Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are going to be discussing my top 25 favorite roller coasters, and this is the 2023 edition. The last time I did this was I think 2 years ago, where I had cameos, and it's been a while since I did one. Everything's changed, a lot of my opinions have also changed, so let's get started. Starting off at number 25 is my favorite coaster at Six Flags Over Texas, which I just recently got to visit back in December. This is New Texas Giant. This ride is unique because it is the world's first RMC at the world's first Six Flags park, but it is not held up perfectly. Its transitions into airtime with bank turns don't hold up compared to newer RMCs, and it's more floater than ejector. It also has no inversions, but it also is the first RMC. The first RMC is still better than a lot of other coasters, and that really shows the testament to what RMC does. And I love those Gerstlauer trains. They're phenomenal, they're comfy, it's perfect. Coming in at number 24 is Alpengeist at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Sorry everyone, I know this almost hyper invert is mostly everyone's favorite roller coaster at Busch Gardens, and it is not mine. I find the first half to be great and the second half to be a dud. Once it hits the mid-course and slows down to like 2 miles an hour, it's just nothing. It doesn't give me any satisfaction, and I was bored. But the first half is still one of the best things B&M has done, so I'll give it that, and that is why it is in my top 25. At the same park is Loch Ness Monster, my number 23. This ride is one of Arrow's best. Its interlocking loops are outstanding, they're unique, and they're the only ones left in the world. And the ride has held up phenomenally over these years. It's still pretty smooth, and it's fun. Like, it is a perfect ride for families to enjoy their first looping coaster time and time again. At number 22, we have Skyrush at Hershey Park, something that's going to anger a lot of people, and it is still not one of my favorites. And it is not because of the train's restraints, it's because of the actual design of the trains. The restraints aren't the issue. The design of the trains has weight on the sides, so the ride shakes back and forth, creating a rattle and a roughness that isn't on most Intamins with this style track. And the ride also has pacing issues. You go from 70 miles an hour to like 30 in about 20 seconds. That's not very normal, and that's one of the reasons it's not one of my favorite roller coasters. At number 21, we go to Morey's Piers. And for Morey's Piers, we're going to be talking about the Great Nor'easter, one of my favorite roller coasters. And this ride is what an SLC should be. It is relatively smooth, it is intense, it is whippy, and the restraints are great. The vests are fine. And Nor'easter only is like that because the Morey's family actually put time and money into it by retracking it, giving it new brakes, giving it a new ride system, so it is what an SLC should be. And I think all their parks should look at this and try and do this with their SLCs. It'll make them last longer, and it'll give the experience of a lifetime. At number 20, we have Thunderbolt at Kennywood. This is my favorite, like, old school wooden coaster, and I love wooden coasters. Thunderbolt, though, is outstanding. The double helix that you need 2 people in a train for, in a row, normally you could have a single rider. On Thunderbolt, you cannot. The double helix is like banked 10 degrees. It's intense, and don't get me started on that pop of airtime. If you're in front row or in the front car going into the lift hill, it's so sharply made that since it's a 3-bench train, you pop up, and it's just so fun. At number 19, we have Storm Rider at Hershey Park. Now this ride is a slam dunk. This ride uses what all the other accelerators have, a top hat and a fast launch, and makes it better by giving you inversions and a twister section, giving you a package deal, where most other accelerator coasters are launch, top hat, brakes. At number 18 is the most inversions in the United States. This is Steel Curtain at Kennywood. Steel Curtain is outstanding. Even though I have not ridden it since 2019, I've heard a lot of mixed things from people since then. People say it's back row rattles, and I felt that when I was riding it, but that doesn't take away from the experience. It may not be the most intense ride, but it is a coaster with 9 inversions that's smooth, that's fun, and has lap bars. What more can you ask? At number 17, we have Candemonium. Candemonium is a great ride overall. It's smooth as glass, and the only major issue I have with it as a B&M Hyper is its trim brakes. But those trims can be overlooked when you're in the front row, because those trims slow down the train so much, like it throws you up in the front row, so the deceleration actually gives you more airtime. So I don't think they meant to do that, but it helps me as a rider enjoy the ride more. At number 16, we have Steel Force at Dorney Park. Steel Force is so fun. It is a ride from Oregon you can re-ride over and over and over. It's smooth, it's relaxing in some parts, but the return run isn't relaxing at all. Those Morgan restraints are very forgiving. They're very small, so you get a lot of airtime, standing airtime, and this is like Phoenix on a steel coaster, and I prefer it to Phoenix. It's just so fun. Every time I ride it, I have so much fun. I've like almost stood up on the ride with a normal restraint with my seatbelt on. You cannot do that on other hypercoasters. It just shows how intense it is. At number 15, we have my favorite coaster at Dorney Park. This is Talon for you, Jen. Talon is a very, very good B&M invert and is my favorite B&M invert. It is fun, of course. It is intense. It's smooth. Its color scheme is beautiful, and I love the landscaping around it. It's a perfect ride for Dorney and their best in my opinion, but we'll see how that changes in the upcoming years. Number 14 is the only single rail I have ridden. This is Jersey Devil Coaster at my home park, Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride has become much better since its opening year. It was very slow, it valleyed a lot in its opening year, and since then, I don't know what the park has done, but it's sped up a lot. Even though it may not be the smoothest coaster overall, it is very fun. Its whip is good, it's very fast, and what's so fun about it is the front row gives you more throw into the elements, while the back row pulls you through the elements. So let's say you're in the front row on the dive loop, it throws you forward. On the back row, you get pulled back because you're being pulled down the inversion because you have a 12-car long train. That's just one of the many examples that proves that this ride is a perfect fit for my home park. Number 13 is the best family coaster of all time. This is Oscar's Wacky Taxi at Sesame Place. This is my favorite wooden coaster in Pennsylvania and a blast overall. It is all airtime. The whole ride is just airtime after airtime after airtime. That's all it was built for, and that's all it needs to be. It is a perfect ride for families, and its cute theming really helps seal the deal. I love the spiels in the station with Oscar, and its trains are my favorite overall, so it's perfect. At number 12, we get why CCI has become so amazing. Even though they are not around, they are still well known, and one of their best creations is Boulder Dash at Lake Compounce. This ride is a mix of different elements from different coasters that they have built. It's a mountain coaster that is built out of wood, so it rides like a CCI, but you're going through mountains, so it has to do really sharp turns to avoid rock faces. So you get weird turns where you're going over an airtime hill, it straightens out, it turns, unbanked. It's phenomenal. It holds up very well. I love the elevation changes. It's so fun. And the return run going by the lake is beautiful. It captured perfectly on my POV from a few years ago. At number 11, we have my first RMC I ever rode, Wicked Cyclone. This is not loved by a lot of enthusiasts nowadays because it runs very unreliably. Some days it may be running amazing, some days it may not be. But I've been to the park 2 out of 3 times in the rain, so I've gotten to experience this ride when it is at its best. And I can say Wicked Cyclone is no joke. When it's in the rain, there's no complaints about the third lap, I'll tell you that. At number 10, we have my favorite B&M Hyper. This is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. Mako is smooth. It also doesn't have floater. When you look at Candemonium versus Mako, Candemonium is floater. Candemonium, you lift out of your seat very slowly. When you ride Mako, you're thrown out of your seat. This does not feel like a B&M Hyper, and that is why it's perfect for SeaWorld. It is just an overall great ride, and I understand why so many Florida enthusiasts have it as one of their favorite roller coasters. At number 9, we have my start for my obsession with aerodynamics loopers, which is why I want to ride everything. This is Viper at Six Flags Darien Lake. This is the ride that made me fall in love with rides like Loch Ness. It's so what? It's not the smoothest at this point. It's fun, it's classic, it's intense. It also has the coolest train design. I love the wraps, and it makes me want to go to Six Flags Magic Mountain and ride the bigger Viper. It's pretty much a testament to what aerodynamics has built. The rides may not be the smoothest, the rides may not be the most technologically advanced, but they didn't need to be. They're just hella fun. Number 8 is Manta at SeaWorld Orlando, a ride with style. The theming on this ride is phenomenal. This is what SeaWorld needs to be doing on all their coasters. The queue line with the aquariums is beautiful and it sets up the mood perfectly. The theme music on the lift hill is great. The pretzel loop is intense, and don't get me started with that finale. The fountains looking like you're skimming the water, that is perfect, and it looks beautiful when you walk in the park, and that's what you first see. Number 7 is Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City. Outlaw Run is a topper track from RMC, and those don't get the best rep, but I love them still. Outlaw Run is phenomenal. It may not be the smoothest ride overall, but that double barrel roll is perfect, especially that wave turn. But like, the double barrel roll is what makes the ride. Number 6 is my favorite wooden coaster. This is El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure, my home park. And though this ride has had issues in the recent years, but doesn't mean I don't love it. It's so good. The airtime on it is phenomenal. The roar, the fart, whatever people call it, it's classic. Like, you can't go to Great Adventure and not listen to that all day. It's like, it's music to any coaster enthusiast's ears. It just screams airtime. And I hope it's open this year for when we do Thrill-a-thon, because I'd love to get more rides on it. Number 5 is my favorite coaster in my home state. This is Gale Force at Playland's Castaway Cove. It started off as a crazy project and it wasn't working the best, but what it is now is a phenomenal ride that really shows that S&S can build great rides. They just have to put more time and effort into it. It took 3 years for the ride to be as good as it is now, but that was well worth it. It's intense. It launches at 64 miles an hour, but also goes around a second time, so 2 laps. And the second time around, I think it launches faster, because you can definitely tell. I've clocked it going like almost 70. It's so fun. And the airtime is amazing. It pulls almost -2 Gs, so it's like Skyrush level airtime on an S&S. I don't know how this works, but you have to go to Ocean City, New Jersey to find out. Number 4 is my favorite B&M. This is Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Kumba is, don't get me started on Kumba. I hate the people that made rumors about it being removed. Don't remove it. Busch Gardens, this is literally one of B&M's best work. Its layout is beautiful. Like, the loop around the lift hill, literally, that, I don't know what to say. Like, I love this ride. There's pretty much like, it's like, you know, those type of rides that you love and you really can't say anything on them, but you just love them. That's Kumba for me. Number 3, though, is Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. Time Traveler is a ride I can talk about for an hour. The theming, I love it. The station, the music, the drop out of the station, the 95-foot tall loop, the corkscrew or zero-G roll that throws you either on your side, backwards, forwards. This ride is perfection. And I love that it has a way to slow down spinning, because spinning coasters can make you nauseous. This is the perfect way to build a spinning coaster. It still spins, but it doesn't make you nauseous. It's just enough for a thrill. My number 2 used to be my number 1. This is Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This is one of my most adored roller coasters of all time. Its second drop is phenomenal. 92 miles an hour, if I believe. It's fast. It also has the most intense airtime of like any roller coaster, and is the only ride I've ever ridden with Sean O'Leary that scared the living garbage out of him, because Sean doesn't like to follow rules and felt like he was gonna die, because let's say this ride has buzz bars. Like, the restraints are very minimal, and that just enhances the experience. But my number 1 is Iron Gwazi. This is my favorite RMC. This is my favorite coaster overall. Iron Gwazi is phenomenal. This ride is what makes Busch Gardens Tampa. This is how RMC needs to do everything. My number 1 was a hyper, Phantom, but my new number 1 is a RMC hyper, which I never thought I'd say, because I didn't ever love RMC, and this ride changed my mind completely. I love the death roll. I love the wave turn. I love how fast-paced it is, and that is probably due to Joe Draves and Alan Schilke both designing this layout. Joe Draves designed Steel Current and Gale Force, and I love both of those rides. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what your top maybe 5 or 10 is. We can get into a conversation about that. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you also enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.